spec sheet. I would read the spec sheet.
Oh, parallax. Oh, parallax. Skip. Ooh. Hi, I'm gonna level with you guys. This is actually my second time filming this because I made a mistake, which I've done in the past, where I was not recording into the recorder, and so the audio is no bueno. So I'm doing this again for you guys. I am excited to share another video this week, and actually my goal moving forward for the rest of the year is to share a video weekly. Let's hope I do that. I would love it if you liked and subscribed. That would help me a lot because I would love to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But also you can hold me accountable to making sure that I post weekly for the rest of the year. If I don't, you can call me out. All right, so as you've seen in the title, in this video, we're gonna talk about what I think is a pretty controversial lens, the Canon RF 28-70. And there are videos, plenty of videos out there that talk about the specs, the technical details of this lens. And frankly, those are all very important things to chat about. I just don't care that much. I actually want to talk more about the user experience and the workflow of this lens. And could it be a lens that I would want to purchase at some point? The montage of footage that you saw in the beginning of the video, that was actually all taken using the 28-70 lens with my Canon R6. And very soon I'm going to show you guys photos that I took using this lens. I should also mention that I don't own this lens. In fact, Mike, my buddy, was renting it. And so he was gracious enough to let me borrow it and use it for this video. So I don't own this lens, but I was able to shoot with it for a day. Mike was also the model, so thank you so much, Mike, for doing all that. And Braxton helped me film all the BTS, so shout out to these guys. Like I mentioned earlier, because I know some people care, all of the footage that you saw in the earlier half of the video and all the photos that you're gonna see very soon were all taken with this lens paired with my Canon R6. So we'll talk about my thoughts on this lens after I show you these photos. So enjoy the photos and I'll see you right afterwards. Where are you going? He's thick, he's thick.
Bean made that look so much easier.
Hope you enjoyed all that BTS footage and the photos with the 28-70. I'm just gonna say it right now, but I really like this lens and I really enjoyed using it for this shoot. So a few things I really like about it is the color that the lens renders. I like that at wide open. It has pretty minimal vignetting. I like the autofocus on it. It's very snappy and I like the feel of it. kind of, which we'll talk about. It needs to be said, but this lens is a whopping $3,000, which, do not get me wrong, that is very expensive. I don't own any lenses that are quite that expensive, and the lens itself is 3.15 pounds. For context, my Canon R6 is 1.5 pounds. So literally this lens is double the weight of my camera body, which is insane. But in a strange way, the lens felt right. Since switching over from DSLR to mirrorless with Canon with the R, now the R6, I've adapted all of my EF-L series glass to my R bodies, and I've never had any issues with autofocus accuracy. In fact, I've told everyone that the autofocus is incredible when you're adapting lenses. But I was very surprised that when I mounted this RF native glass to the R6, that the autofocus and accuracy was better, and it was pretty noticeable to me at least. I would say that in the hundreds of photos that I took, and I only really shared a handful of them, as I looked through all the images, only 1 or 2 at the most photos were maybe missed focus, but that's it. The accuracy rate was insane, and I pretty much did eye tracking with back button focusing the entire time, and it tracked Mike's eyes seamlessly. I'm also primarily a prime lens. See what I did there? I thought it was pretty good as I was scripting this video. Anyways, I'm primarily a prime lens shooter and have been for the majority of my career, but this lens is the first lens that I've used that's convinced me that I may possibly be able to swap 3 or 4 of my lenses with this one zoom lens. Truly, I really think that this lens is that good. It's also insane to me too that most premium zoom lenses open as wide open as 2.8, but that this lens can go all the way to 2, which is, even those 3 extra stops are a lot when you're shooting in low light. But it's pretty phenomenal to me that this lens can go all the way down to 2. Really, I think that this lens could replace my 24-70, my 35, my 50, and my 85. We're talking about 4 lenses, all for this one lens. It's pretty awesome. Again, I know one of the big hangups with this lens, outside of the price, which again is hefty, is the weight of the lens itself. And I have asked people what their thoughts are on this lens. And that's the one thing that people always mention is it's the weight. Sometimes it's a bit cumbersome. Sometimes you feel it after a long shooting day. But if I could swap out 4 lenses for this one lens, that's really got me intrigued. And even when I was shooting that day with Mike as the model and doing all those portraits, when I was in the zone, I wasn't really noticing the weight of the lens itself. And if anything, I felt like the lens and the body together allowed me to shoot how I normally would, again, without really thinking about the weight of the camera. Paired with that lens, I don't know where to put my hands. Like I mentioned earlier, the weight of the lens didn't really bother me all that much. And frankly, while I was shooting portraits of Mike, I didn't notice the weight of the lens. And again, I know that a lot of people will talk about the weight of this lens being pretty cumbersome, but it didn't really bother me. Hi. For recording this again. So sad. I was actually able to take all the photos of Mike with this lens as I would with any of my other prime lenses. Exhibit A. But sincerely, I took these photos like I would with any of my prime lenses and had no issues. The focusing was very smooth. The focus ring on the lens is very nice as well. And I think I shot all the photos wide open at 2. So if that's saying anything, the sharpness, the focus speed at 2 wide open, the images, at least in my opinion, obviously a little biased, but I thought the images look great. I guess the big question is this a lens that I would consider buying? And my answer is yes. For weddings specifically, I think that this is a benefit of having a zoom lens that's this fantastic, because even though I shoot with 2 bodies most days on wedding days, when you're swapping between lenses on a camera body or even slinging from one camera to another on your shoulders, those take a few seconds. And in those few seconds, you could miss a moment. But the idea of having a camera up to my face, a moment's happening, and all I have to do is zoom it in and punch in, and then still get that photo tighter, that's very enticing to me, that even in that split second, I'm not taking my eyes off of what's happening in front of me, and I can still snap that image at a different focal length. And then I think on the commercial side, as I'm doing more commercial photography work, I'm finding that prime lenses aren't always the most ideal in commercial shooting scenarios. Having a lens that's a zoom lens, but has the sharpness of a prime lens and has the low light capabilities of a prime lens, that's very enticing to me. I think that those 2 things alone with a zoom lens are awesome, that on a commercial shoot or on a wedding day, that this one lens could really do a lot of different things. So do I think this lens is for everyone? Definitely not. I know that, again, the budget is a big deterrent, and then the weight's a big deterrent. But for the way that I shoot, I really think that this lens would play a nice part in my existing kit. And I hope that this video shed some light onto questions that you may have had regarding this lens, and that the photos that I shared with you guys of Mike are a testament to the abilities of this lens. I think that the images came out phenomenal, not because of my abilities per se, but because I think the lens is that good. I think the lens is phenomenal, and that's kind of my final conclusion on the lens. I appreciate you guys for watching all the way through. And like I mentioned earlier, that truly is my goal, to post a video weekly moving forward for the rest of the year. And I know that once I verbalize it, maybe that's accountability for me, but I would love it if you liked and subscribed. Hold me accountable to that goal. And again, I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and I'm shameless about it. Like, I truly am trying to get there. So every sub matters to me. It counts. I appreciate everyone that watches these videos. I know that my audience is very small, but I read all the comments. I see everything that's happening on my channel. So I really can't thank you guys enough for journeying with me from almost a year ago when I posted my first video. I'm really excited for what this channel is going to hold moving forward in the future, and the community that we're gonna be able to build. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one, which will be next week, I hope. Okay, bye.